Good morning, Oblivion. You are indeed first. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Inspire. Good to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. I think you're the first one over there on YouTube. Nice. So you've got both folks representing today, YouTube and Twitch. I like it. I like it. Good to see you guys. Good day, Elmanian. How are you? Pulled an all-nighter and saw this. Oh, nice. Well, that was good timing. Good timing indeed. Good morning, MDG House. I don't think have I seen you here before? You might be a first-time chatter, or maybe an infrequent chatter, because I don't remember your username, or at least not. It doesn't come to the top of my mind. So thanks for stopping by. Welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. All right. Ready to rock and roll. Working on my 3D project and saw your notification. I almost don't I almost don't save my project. Oh no, don't do that. You gotta have your project, man. That would be no bueno. No bueno. 3D project sounds cool. You know? I've never done anything with 3D stuff. Whenever I see, ooh, that's a big one. Whenever I see 3D projects, though, I always think those look nice. You know, like there was a really popular web developer portfolio that went around a couple years ago, and it was all 3D. It was made by a guy I think named Bruno Simon or something like that. Let's see if I can find it. Bruno Simon portfolio. Oh, he changed it. Huh. He used to have like a little car you could drive around here. Guess not anymore. I think I got too many projects from coding to 3D, like 4 projects I'm working on. Yeah, that's been a struggle for me lately too, having too many things running concurrently. I'm trying to work on reducing that number. I'm trying to work on finishing as many of the ongoing ones as possible before starting another, and I'm trying to limit myself to just working on one at a time because I think having too many ongoing requires too much context switching throughout the day or throughout the week. And so you don't end up making as much progress as you want to. At least that's kind of how I'm feeling at least at the moment. I just landed a commission job for 3D modeling architecture. It's short term, but it'll still pay some bills. Nice. That sounds like fun. I've never done anything with 3D stuff, but whenever I see people do it, I always think that's really cool. Morning, mate. How many hours did you sleep today? I probably slept 7. I went to bed at like 8. Or no, I guess last night was a little later. I went to bed at like 9:30. 9:30. So what is that? 3 hours plus 4. About 7. Yeah, about 7 hours. Steven, is the terminal, good morning, Rux. Is this terminal UI or Vim? This is, let's see, this right here is lazy git inside of NeoVim. That's what's happening right here. Oblivion, I'll probably have to grind the most I've ever grinded for it though. Oh, you're talking about the 3D commissioning job? So are you kind of relatively new to the 3D stuff, or is it just a really big scope of work? Get it, Omani, and get that coffee. Good morning, crew. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Actually, do I want to do that? Do I want? Yeah, that's fine. I realized yesterday that I forgot to set up a Git a Git repo before I started working on all this. Oops. Oh no. Oh. There we go. All right. Now back to the party. Here we go. Another. Yo, Twitch party. Nice. What's up, Ulas? Good to see you. Let's see. I've been doing Blender for over a decade, but I've not been keeping myself as sharp over the years, and I agreed to a shorter than proposed time for a project where I have a lot of detailed, repetitive work to do. So my next 4 months are booked for this job, basically. Damn. Yeah. I'm sure it'll come back though. You know what I mean? Like if you have that much experience with it, like it'll. I'm guessing it'll be like maybe the first little bit's a little slower than you would have liked, but I bet by the time you get to this, let's say into the first week, beginning of the second, I bet you'll just pick up speed. It's just that's what's tough about technology. There's just so many different things to be good at and so many different skills to have that it's just you're just fighting a losing battle trying to keep up with it all the time. You sort of have to purposely decide to focus on something and ignore other things because you're focusing on that thing, you know? It's kind of the nature of the beast, it seems like. Good morning, Ryan. Don't know how long I'll be here. I went to bed 3 hours ago. What were you doing? Were you just up partying or what? Hanging out with friends? That's nuts, dude. What's that, 1 o'clock in the morning? Jesus. Alright. I'm going to do this a little bit different. How do I do that? Validatable object. Looking for something that's relatively new. That's 2022, 7 years ago. It's 2024. So we do add new validation result and the name of the thing we were validating. Okay, so we do the user name field is required. And I think this should be roughly the same thing. Good afternoon, Kinchi-kun. How are you? Good afternoon, or good morning. Good morning, Danny. Right now, I stopped partying at 6 p.m. I just couldn't sleep. Oh, that's the worst, man. That's the worst. Let's see, what did we get wrong here? Expected problem errors to be a dictionary with 2 items, but it missed keys password. Oh, I guess that's because I can't yield multiple. I guess I have to do it all in one go. So I have to do for results. And then we do results.add. Okay, what are we doing here? Oh, whoopsies. This should be password. There we go. Now we pass. Cool, cool. I like that. I like this using this API a little bit better. I think it's a little bit more flexible and is consistent across. What if I do this though? What if I do? That's fine. That's fine. We're not gonna get hung up on that. Okay, so we have our endpoint here. We have our login where we're handling this. So we need to add a couple more test cases for this test.
Did we just become best friends?
Rodman, Ron, thank you for the follow. Let's turn this into theory. And then we will have a login validation test case. And this will come from, this should probably come from class data. I can never remember exactly how this works in XUnit. It's like XUnit class data. Yeah, class data. No, hold on. I want XUnit theory data is what I want. Theory data. And we end up back on Andrew Locke's blog. I always end up back on this guy's blog. Yeah, I want this right here. So let's do, we will do a public do I want public or how do I want to do this? I guess yeah, I kind of want this stuff co-located, so I'll do public class login validation test cases, and this will implement theory data, which will take a login validation test case. And then we'll make another class. This is a public record login validation test case like this. Why are you mad? Does not nest type alternatively changes accessibility so it's not externally visible. I think it has to be public though for this to work. I think if I make it private, it won't work. Maybe it will. I think it depends on what other types I use within the test case definition. So we can do class data, type login, validation, test cases like this. Inconsistent accessibility type, yeah. That's what I thought. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll define some stuff here on the test case. So we'll say public string name, it's a getter, an emitter. Then we'll do public string username, public string password. That, like that. Now this is going to complain, I think, because I think I need to add I have to do this. I have to do public, login, validation, test cases, and then this becomes add, right? And so this, the first name will be whatever, let's just name it whatever we named it up here. No username or password. And then we'll say string.empty, string.empty. Oh, we have to wrap this. We have to say new. Let's see. Does not contain a constructor that takes 3 arguments. Oh. Fine. Public. What are you talking about? Yes, it does. Can it not infer what this is? Huh. That's surprising to me. I would think it would be able to infer what that is. Okay, and then I think in order for this to work right, we have to implement XUnit serializable. have to do Rivaldo, is this for unit tests or QA tests? I'm new and just starting to learn QA automation. Sorry for asking. Oh, you don't have to apologize for asking, man. This is just for automated testing. So this right here, what I'm doing is actually an integration test. So .NET has a really nice way to basically spin up your API in memory and just hit it with requests. And you can do all kinds of stuff. Like you can basically do for an API, you can basically do almost an end-to-end test where you can spin up a database, you can spin up any external services, just spin them up in Docker, and basically do kind of a full end-to-end. I don't know, the labels are always weird, but you can basically do essentially what's like a complete integration test on your API if you want, which is eventually what I'll get to. But right now, what I'm doing is I'm just handling the different validation cases for the login endpoint. That's all I'm doing right now. Okay, so this, I don't remember the exact API for this. It's like XUnit, serializable. You have to like, there we go. It's this. It's like info add value. That's what it is. It's like info dot add, yeah, add value, and we can do name of name, and then name. And we can basically repeat that for each of the properties that we have. And this will be a password. And then what we can do here is we can do name equals info dot get value. And then we can access it by the key, which will be name of name. And if it's not there, we just do string.empty. Oh, and this makes these have to be private setter. Why are you complaining? To externally visible method is non-null before using it. If appropriate, throw an argument null exception. Then argument cannot explicitly can type from object to string. Oh, we can just type it then ourselves. So we do a private setter. There we go. And then we'll just do the same thing for the other properties. So this just lets XUnit properly handle serialization of our different test cases. So we have the information about each individual test case displayed correctly. Password. And this will be private set. And then theoretically, the idea would be should be able to come up here and say post to the login. The request should actually be now var request equals an anonymous object that has a username key that we'll set to tc dot username. That's TC stands for test case, and then we'll have password equals tc dot password. TC is non-null before using, if appropriate, throw an argument null exception. What? It's not nullable. I mean, if the test case is null, something has really gone wrong. So I think I'm going to end up ignoring that. This should now be request, like that. And the other thing we have to do here is we need to override the toString method. So we need to say public override toString. And then we'll just return name. Excuse me. Big ol' burp. Okay, I think that looks good. We just have to deal with this guy right here, which I think I'm going to disable. It's a good warning, but it's just not really applicable in this case, in the test case scenario. CA 1062. CA 1062. It's weird that it takes me 30 seconds to recognize C#. It was the second language I ever learned. Oh, really? Nice. Yes, I love C#. Pranesh, what about front end? We will do front end, but we'll probably do it after we figure out the back end. Mainly because my intention is that one day there'll be multiple different clients that call this code. So if I sort out the back end, the clients then just have to worry about asking for data, right? They just have to handle a authentication flow and then asking for data so they can paint it on whichever screen. So we will do front end, but we're going to start with the back end. All right, let's see if this still works here. .NET test. Cool, it still works. So the nice thing here is now we have kind of a data-driven test that makes it very easy to add new cases. And so...
Did we just become best friends?
Thank you for the follow. Fazlaw Rabbi. Does that say Fazlaw Rabbi? Nice. Thank you for the follow, man. So then what we can do is we should be able to come down here and just very easily add on additional test cases. Now I did make one mistake where we actually want to support asserting what the errors are going to be. What are the expected errors? So let's do public dictionary string like this, and then we'll say expected errors. And this, can I use a collection expression? Do not declare visible instance fields. Oh, that should be here. Okay, and then Now what we'll do is we'll come over here. Update this constructor really quick. So we'll say, okay, good, you've got errors, wonderful. Tell me what you think the errors are going to be. I'll say thank you very much. That. And we just have to make sure we serialize them, right? Let's see. Wonder how this handles. Excuse me. Will this work? Okay. Which means, okay, so the whole point of that was now what we can do is we can move this call right here. We can basically make this dynamic now. And so we can just have this be part of our test case definition. Right? And then that means then up here, we can just say, great, you've given me a test case with expected errors. Let's make sure that all still works. Jay Santiago, subscribe. Thank you very much, Jay Santiago. Appreciate that. That's super, super kind to you. And then what we can do here now is we can very easily just say, okay, we want to test all the different combinations of this situation, right? So let's say we have like this, and then we can say, okay, great. Well, let's say you've given me no password. Let's say you've given me no username, right? And so then we'll say, let's give a fake password. I'm going to use my super secret password, so please don't steal it or try to hack me. And then we can remove that error. And then we can do, let's see, Steven can be my username. So now we should have 2 more test cases, but they should just all run now that I've added them there. Should be able to say .NET test, and hopefully everything will still work. Good morning, Blackfire. Good to see you. Nice. So now we have 3. So that's how I use XUnit's theory data to do more of a data-driven test. And that's probably what I'll use throughout this code base. Makes life a lot easier. All right, now assuming we get past validation, what do we need to do now, right? So theoretically, in a future world, we're going to have a database that we can talk to, right? But let's not, I guess let's not get hung up on that right now. Let's have some just hard-coded, let's just have some hard-coded simplistic logic here. So let's say const admin username equals Stephen. Whoops. To type this. And we'll say admin password equals my super duper secure password. Right? So at this point, we've gotten past validation. And so really the logic would look something like checking the database, right? Like finding the user by the username, pulling the user out of the database, comparing their hashed versions of their passwords. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the simplistic thing, and I'm just going to say if login request dot username does not equal, I can actually use is not here since I'm using a const, is not admin username for login request dot password. It's not admin password. Then we will do return results dot okay, and this would be, or not okay, forbidden, no, unauthorized. I think is what we want. And this is going to complain at me because it wants me to use, I'm pretty sure it's because my editor config wants me to use a ternary here. Let's see. Prefer conditional. False. So what we will do in the future, though, let's see, we will replace this with an actual check for one, user is in database, two, user's hashed password matches, three, matches the given password. Okay, so otherwise, we need to return a response to the user, and what we need to return to them is basically JWT token is what we need to return to them. And then we also need to set the, since our only client right now is a web client, I think I'll just go ahead and put the refresh token in a HTTP cookie. So we're gonna need to add all that JWT authentication stuff. So I think that's what we need to do next. But real quick, just to make sure this works, let's add another test case here. And this test case, this time we'll say, let's see, this we'll do theory, not theory, let's do fact. Also, let's change the name of this. When user submits invalid request, we'll say public async task login when user credentials are incorrect, it should return 401 with problem details. Let's see, So this should all be pretty straightforward. Let's see. I don't know. This actually shouldn't be a validation problem details. This should just be a problem details. And then, which makes this a little bit different. I think for now I'll just do, I'll just check the status code. So this is just going to be some other random username and some other random password at password2. Again, I know my passwords are super, super secure. My mouse disconnected. Faz Labare. Let's see. Which ID is this? Oh, this is NeoVim. Yeah, Thank you, Blackfire, for answering that question, man. That's super nice of you. Yeah, NeoVim. And those are the configurations that I use. That repo has the right configs. Blackfire, I have 4.4K channel points now. Oh, dude, you gotta spend them. You gotta spend them. RayX, Rust got you used to having type inference, didn't it? Yeah, I do love the type inference in Rust. Maybe one day C# will get better about type inference. That's another thing I love about TypeScript, too. How do you feel about drinking 10 liters of water or coffee or both? I don't feel good about drinking 10 liters of them, but I would be happy to hydrate and caffeinate.
Blackfire26299 is reminding you to hydrate. Blackfire26299 is telling you to drink some coffee. Blackfire26299 is reminding you to hydrate. Blackfire26299 is telling you to drink some coffee. Blackfire26299
I think I need to add a cooldown to this
hydrate.
reward.
Blackfire26299 is telling you to drink some coffee.
I'm not gonna be able to keep track of it if I've got to wait till it's all done.
Blackfire26299 is reminding you to hydrate.
Let's see, how many is this? I'm gonna end up having to go get more coffee after this.
Blackfire26299 is telling you to drink some coffee. Blackfire26299 is reminding you to hydrate. Blackfire26299 is telling you to drink some coffee.
Alright, down to 20 channel points. Damn, you spammed that shit.
Blackfire26299 is reminding you to hydrate.
That's 2.
Blackfire26299 is telling you to drink some
3.
coffee. Blackfire26299 is reminding you to hydrate. Blackfire26299 is telling you to drink some coffee. Blackfire26299 is reminding you to hydrate.
Okay, I did all the hydration.
Blackfire26299 is telling you to drink some coffee. Blackfire26299 is reminding you to hydrate.
I'm saving up my channel points until I have 100 and I'm going to spam it. Oh no,
26299
I'm going to have to put a
is telling you
cooldown on
drink
this
some
shit.
coffee. Blackfire26299 is reminding you to hydrate.
Rachel says, yeah, might want to cooldown on that.
Blackfire26299 is telling you to drink some coffee.
Alright, how long do we think the cooldown should be? 60 seconds? I guess I have to do this on the Twitch side, don't I? Because I don't want people to lose their points, you know? So I should probably do it on the Twitch side. If I do it on the speaker bot side, then it'll they'll probably still redeem their rewards. They just won't. Nothing will happen on stream. Yeah, 30 seconds. Okay, sounds good. You guys are such reasonable people. I'm glad there's like regular, reasonable people here. Let's see. 60 seconds. Okay. How about?
I'd like to say something.
180 seconds per person and 20 seconds global, I would say.
Okay, that sounds good. Let's see. What did you say? 20. Okay. Oh, this doesn't have a global one. Sent a clip to the Discord. Thanks for clipping that, man. Okay, I did it on the Twitch side so that people won't lose their points. Okay. All right, back to it. I feel very hydrated and very well caffeinated now, guys. So focused. Okay. All right, let's see if this works now. Hopefully it'll work. Yep. Okay. So now I guess where do we want to go with this? I think what we should do is we should work on the generation of the token next. That's probably the more important thing. So basically what this flow needs to work like is we need to do a couple different things, right? So this to do is actually much longer. So to do implement actual auth flow. So what the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that the user exists, right? We want to make sure that the password is correct. And then we want to issue an access token with a refresh token, right? And 4, we want to store the refresh token. And let's see, 5, we want to set the refresh token in a cookie. So the refresh token will be long-lived, and it will be placed into a cookie in their browser, an HTTP-only secure cookie. And then the refresh or the access token will be short-lived, probably like something like a few minutes, and that will just be returned in the body of the request, which they can then use to do stuff with. So that's the plan. So we're going to need a couple different models. We need a user model. Let's see, we need things we need. One, we need a user model. We need a refresh token model. which the refresh token's almost like a session, right? Because we're gonna keep it stored server side in a table, and we can use it to essentially invalidate somebody's access once their access token expires. I feel like this is a good. I think this is a good middle ground between like full-on session-based. Okay, so where do we want to start with all this? Maybe just start with the data access side of it. Yeah. So do I want this? The question is, do I want this stuff in a separate project or not? I think we'll start without a separate project, but we can always refactor it to a separate project. So I'm going to add. Well, I guess I need to add all the dependencies, don't I? That would probably be a good thing. Just going to use SQLite and Entity Framework. Let's see. Entity Framework, SQLite. Excuse me. To install EF Core, you install the package for the EF Core database provider. Yep, this is the one I want. So we'll say .NET add source package. And then we also need okay, we already have that.
I'd like to say something.
Can anyone say anything on text to speech? If anyone can say anything on here, that's probably not a good idea.
I'm pretty sure it gets passed through a bad word filter on StreamerBot. But obviously, if people abuse the text to speech, I'll just ban them. You know, it's the same. It's the same thing like chat. People can say pretty much, a lot of things in chat, and if you say something that's offensive or not cool, then I'll just ban you. Rayx, do you have a signing lib you like for JWT, or do you roll your own? Just stuff from tokens into some JSON and store it as base64? No, I just use the .NET solution. .NET has kind of a way of doing this. I'm not sure exactly what encryption or what signature, what algorithms they use 100% off the top of my head. Let's see, JWT, Microsoft. I think it's symmetric. I think it's a symmetric signature. I know very little about the nitty-gritty details. Let's see if I can find. I know I've implemented it before, but yeah, I just use a lot. I guess to answer your question, I just use a package or a library. I definitely do not try to implement my own for sure. When was the last time I implemented this? Probably. Was it here? There we go. This is a good example. Yeah, I just do something like this. Yeah, so .NET has a JWT bearer authentication policy that you can add, and you just have to provide it with specific options, and it will handle the validation, and then you implement the generation of the token in a very similar way. So yeah, not anything crazy. I think I have it implemented here in my tests. You do something like this. Where is it? Create a token handler, create a token descriptor with all your different information, your subject, your issue data expires at, and then you use the handler to create the token, and then you write out the token. They make it pretty nice, pretty easy to implement, you know. Take out a lot of the guesswork for you. I'm not sophisticated enough though to implement it myself. Let's see. If you use this long running, you'll regret not separating your contracts and transport logic early. Keep up the good work and thank you for continuing to expire. Thank you, Parker. That's such a nice message. Yeah, I think I'm gonna keep it all in the same projects, and then I'll refactor things out as I need to. Good morning. Just wanted to drop my 2 cents about splitting projects. Oh no, thank you very much for sharing. I think what you said is completely valid too. I'm just I think I'm at that point where like I don't necessarily want to slow down to do the separate projects at the moment, but what you said is totally valid. Totally agree. Where was I? I was adding. Oh, I added entity framework, right? Okay. And so then I need to add. Let's just do. We'll just call it persistence for now. And we'll do a user.cs. We'll do a. Well, actually, hold on, that's not gonna be there. Let's do that. Let's put that over here. Let's do something like identity. And then here we need a DB context. Yeah? Do you want to call it DB context? Maybe app context? Namespace is physical OS dot API dot persistence. Actually, I kind of like just data. You just keep it like super not fancy. And then we can do, let's see, public. I guess actually this can probably be internal. Internal sealed class app context implements DB context. Okay, and then the user, let's just do this, and then I guess what should our user class look like? Internal sealed user. We're also going to need a refresh token. Let's see, identity. Oops. So refresh token will have expiration. It'll have IDs. We'll have to put that on the database. I don't remember, how do we define sets on the database now? We did this recently for a project, didn't we? Let's see. We did this recently for this guy. I think it was DB set, wasn't it? They got rid of the IDB set abstraction. Pretty sure. Yeah, DB set. That's what we want. Actually, we want all this. We're basically doing the exact same thing. Only this is not going to be a DB set of payments. This would be a DB set of users. And this is, I don't have that yet. So let's just remove that for a second. No, let's hold on. Let's keep it and let's just implement it. So let's do that. And then we're gonna have app context options. Good morning, Milty. How are you doing, man? Good to see you. Welcome in. Welcome in. I'm just gonna steal my own code. Should really probably put some of this stuff in like a package. You go here. You're gonna go here. Ah, damn it. I shouldn't have named it that. Oh, no. Damn, I shouldn't have named it that. We should do, I guess, we should do this. This should be I options. There we go. Now people are relatively happy. I feel like you're talking about an abstraction layer. User abstraction DB, having the DB layer itself validate leads to longer read write sessions, bad for cloud bill. Hold on. How do you feel about pushing data validation into the database layer? I would typically say no, but I guess I wouldn't necessarily do that myself, but maybe there's a good reason for doing it. Let's see, I know there's a push to use triggers, stored procedures, and views, so that kind of thing, and just have the server fetch store. Interesting. Yeah, I've never actually used stored procedures myself. I don't even think I've used yeah, I've never done anything like that. But typically I wouldn't do that, but I could see maybe somebody having a good reason for it. I personally don't have to worry about a cloud bill. This will just be hosted on a virtual, or either a private server or a virtual private server. But maybe your guys' considerations are a little bit different than mine. Good morning, Rampla. Good to see you, man. All right, so we have these guys. Just don't need this. This guy who's complaining about this. Let's see. I don't care. ID 0100. Yeah, I don't like that rule. So we are going to turn it off. And then we're going to have a public db set. Let's see, refresh tokens. Okay. Let's see. Where were we? So we were doing this. We were doing that. And then we were doing something. So we have our, I guess we need to generate the migrations, right, for the table. We should also add, let's add a migration service. Similar to what we did in the other application. Again, we'll just steal code from this project. Yep, let's do that. API.data. This is going to complain, I guess, because we're not doing this in the most performant way. But I'm not going to do that. That's so much work for an application that doesn't really need to be that performant minded. CA 1848. Let's see, what are we at? Consider calling configure await on the awaited task. I do not need to do that here. Might need to do that if I abstract this to a separate project, but I do not need to do that here. CA 2007. I need to put a keybind together for restarting OmniSharp. Alright, are we good now? Oh, you don't exist. So do app db context. Cool. So now what we need to do is we need to register all this stuff. Let's see, program.cs. We need to say builder.services, add db context. That. And then we're going to do builder.services.configure. Which would be app db context options. No overload for configure, takes 0 arguments. Maybe it's configure options. Yeah, there we go. And then what else do we need? So we did the DB. We added the options. Oh, migration service. And then we need to do builder.services, add hosted service, which is going to be of type migration service. Okay. And now I guess I know for sure these should all have an ID, right? So let's see. Entity framework, set up model props. Okay. So what's the best type for ID? Let's see, best type for ID in C# entity framework. I would love to be able to support strongly typed IDs, but that seems like a whole thing unto itself. Yeah, see, we have to, like, if we want to support strongly typed IDs, we have to go down a whole rabbit hole. I don't know. Maybe this is a good opportunity to learn how to do it, you know? All right, we'll just keep it simple, stupid. I'm looking at this code and I'm thinking, do I really want to take on that burden? I mean, I can always probably go back later and change it. The question is, do I want to use... What do I want to use for the IDs? That's the question. Do I want to use a GUID? I don't know. Let's see. Let's get Gemini's thoughts on this. Let's see. I'm working with Entity Framework Core in .NET. I'm setting up a new table I'm setting up some new tables. I've heard and read a lot of debate around what the best type is for the ID properties on your models. What is this go-to based on your available knowledge? Should we use a GUID, an int, something else? Let's source the crowd's knowledge. Did you complete the text editor project? Pretty much, Santos. I've been working on it a little bit. I've been hacking a little bit. I've been hacking on it a little bit in my free time. And the one thing that I still have to do before I publish it is I have to figure out how to implement like dirty checks, basically, to basically figure out, have I made changes to the note while it's been open in the editor and haven't yet changed it yet. So I just need to implement that, really, probably, because it's kind of confusing when you're using it right now because you don't know if you've saved the note or not. But yeah, it was a fun project. I think it's as far as I probably want to take it, right? And maybe I just iterate on it incrementally over the next few months as I use it more. But I've been using it for my like day-to-day workflow, and it's been pretty fun to use. Let's see, the classic choice, integer. My mouse keeps disconnecting. This is the recommended middle ground for most modern EF Core applications. You get the benefits of GUID. How to implement it. If you set your property to GUID and rely on the database default, SQL Server can use new sequential ID. Alternative EF Core, can generate them using GUID.NewGUID. Would you like me to see the specific Fluent API configuration code to ensure EF Core is using... Yeah. Show me. Okay, I've never used sequential GUIDs before. Yes, show me how to use sequential GUIDs. This is new to me. Is this the type of GUID that you can like sort on? EF Core uses the sequential GUID value generator by default for GUID primary keys. Let's see, value generated on add. If you want to be absolutely certain or using a non-standard configuration, you can force the generator. I feel like I've read a blog post though about this from what's his name? He's a really good YouTuber. What is his name? Milo? I want to say it's like Milan. Milan, that's what it is. Milan. GUID IDs. Maybe this is what I was thinking of. It's called UUID v7, and it's a sortable value because it has a time component. You can create one in .NET 9 via GUID.create version 7. It's also natively supported in Postgres. Huh. Okay, I don't know if I'm gonna end up doing this right, but I'm gonna try. So we'll do public GUID ID has a getter and a setter, I guess, or maybe just an emitter. Let's see, entity framework. Correct model property definition. I don't know if I want to. Do they have to be setters? Do they have to be publicly accessible setters? Entity framework. Do properties have to have public setters? Properties without setters are not mapped by convention. Private constructors, private setters. Yeah, I like the I like the idea of being able to have control of the model and not have entity framework dictate how I write the model, you know? But I also don't necessarily want to be fighting an entity framework all the time. So let's just do, let's see, where were we? We need to do protected override on model creating. And then we need to do something like model builder dot entity dot property, and this will be generate that. configures a property to have a value generated only when saving a new entity unless a non-null, non-temporary value has been set, in which case the set value will be saved instead. The value may be generated by a client/side clients, by a client-side value generator, or may be generated by a database. No, I want it like this. All right, and then we should be able to do, oh, we have to add our options. So we have to do this, come down here. Let's copy these guys. So let's do CP. Let's copy this to .example.json. And then we'll come over here. And we'll say app db context options. And the options that we need to add are over here. Which is just database file path. Easy enough, and then we'll go ahead and copy that over to our other and then we'll actually oops. Whoops. What have I done? Oh, I think when I pasted over that other stuff, it wiped out what was on my clipboard. Yeah. Okay, so now we have the database file path, and we can just set this to, I guess let's just set this to physicalOS.dev.db or something like this. And that'll be enough. Let's see, so we have our options added, we have our migration service, we need to generate the migrations, run those. There was something else and I lost it in the middle of all this. I was thinking about something else and now I lost it. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see, add user and refresh. Oh, I have to specify that -- project. Hopefully this will work. Smart World, what are you trying to put in my chat, bro? Mishra-Heel. Your startup project, that this package is required for Entity Framework Tools to work. Ensure your startup project is correct. Install the package. Try again. Okay, so .NET add package. We need to add source. Let's go. Now let's try again. See, unable to create a DB context of type app DB context. The exception, unable to resolve service for type I options while attempting to activate, was thrown. Oh no. Did I not set this up right? Let's see. We have app DB context. We are configuring our DB context oh, that should be app DB context options setup. That's my bad. Try again. Smart World. How to decrypt this small code? I have no idea. Alright, let's look at the migration added. Did that add multiple migrations? Oh, that's for a refresh token. And this is for what? Why did it add multiple? Is that normal for it to do that? To undo this action, use EF migrations remove. Okay, let's remove and see what happens. Use .NET build to see the errors. Well, fine. I'll just delete the migrations altogether. Let's try again. Okay, I guess it's not. Oh, because, okay. Alright, that's normal. That's normal. So theoretically, if I run my application, we should see a migration happen. Let's see, what's this say? An externally visible method, validate parameter, migration builder. Oh. Well, that shouldn't apply to those projects. Why is that being applied? Six 12, 618. So how do I disable that just for? Let's see. Entity framework, or actually, hold on. .NET analyzers disable for generated code. I don't remember having this issue over here. Wonder if I disabled it. Nope, I didn't disable it, so why? Wonder if I wonder if they're just different, you know? They don't look different. I know why it's complaining about that, but it really shouldn't be complaining about that in this particular code, which is unfortunate. I don't want to disable it for the whole app, but I think I'm going to have to work around this. So we will go back here. Oops. And say .net. I think it's time for more coffee because I've yawned like 10 times. Okay, now it's not going to complain. So if I rerun my application, my hope is that we'll see some log statements applying database migrations, data migrations applied to what we wanted. So now we should be able to go here, and we should find somewhere in here. Yep, right here. Our database. Cool. What was that? Do you guys remember what that thing was that we used to visualize, or how do we connect to databases inside NeoVim? It was like VimBod. NeoVim connect to it was something Bob had turned me on to. NeoVim connect to database. I know we added it, but now I can't remember what it was. Gunhighs, I guess some things never change. I'm finally here and coffee break. You just have good timing, you know? You just have good timing. What can I say? There it is, Dad Bod. That's what it was. I thought it was something like that. Dad Bod. And how do I open it? Vim Dad Bod. DB, that's how you do it. DB. Okay. So we have to do db and then the path to the file. So we have to do, let's see, copy path for source, physical OS, bin debug net 10. Now we'll come back over here. I guess we'll db SQLite. Paste that in. The db command has a few different usages. All forms accept a URL as the first parameter. Ambiguous use of user. I don't even know what that means. db SQLite. Maybe I'll just give it the path. I could have sworn I have this set up. What the hell? Gun highs. Here's something else, man. Something else. Oh, DBUI. Okay. Is that what I'm looking for? DBUI. Okay, that one is an old one. Open, toggle, add connection. Okay, so we do Shift A. Do physical os.dev. What's happening? Error detected while processing. Cannot present in dictionary. Key not present in dictionary. Physical. So how do I... Did I really just like completely destroy this? I think I broke that extension. No! Oh my goodness. This is such a distraction from the thing I'm trying to do, but I thought it would be cool to use it, and then I broke it. Damn it. I have to take an L on that one. That's fine. It's fine. It's really fun. Looks like he purged it. Dude, I love making... Yeah. Okay. Well, shit, that's frustrating. Okay, it's whatever. I'll figure it out later. Okay, let's stop for a second and let's do some housekeeping. So let's see, what did we do here? And then we need to do appdb. So I guess what we did here was we set up the database context. Let's see. This is a refactor. Use iValidatable object API. Add example app settings file. Let's see, feature added simple check for username and password. Okay, and then now the big one, which I'll just say is, we'll say is feature setup DB context with initial models. Okay. So now that we have these, what do we want to do? So basically the way this application is going to be, there's really not going to be a way for a user to register themselves. I'm going to have to insert the user myself. So we're basically just going to assume the user's already there in this flow. The one problem with that idea is we need some way to hash the password. So maybe this is where I need a some little tool, some little utility tool or something for adding users to my database that uses the same logic. I don't think that really matters though quite yet. All right, more coffee, and then we'll come back and figure this out. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure the user exists, right? So somewhere in here, we're just going to use the database context directly for now. And somewhere in here, we're going to say from services, give me the app DB context like this. And if I have that guy, oh, did I have that in the global? I should have that in global. Yep. Then we're going to say context. Let's actually do this DB context. And then in here, what we'll do is we'll say, do you exist, good sir? We'll say var user equals await app db context dot find async nope, that's not what we want. We want users. First or default. Username should be unique, so we can use single or default. And then we'd say, what would we say here? We'd say u.id equals, or sorry, not u.id, this would be u.username equals login request.username. But of course, this thing doesn't exist yet. We haven't added that property. What we would do is we'd say if user is null, then we would return results.unauthorized like that. And now we just need to add the username to that class. Now the question is, do I want the username to be like something unique, or do I want it tied to like an email? I think I want it to be just a unique piece of text. I think that's what I want. Good morning, Sogo. Good to see you. I'm gonna run upstairs and get some coffee, and then I'll be right back. We're currently working through like some basic auth stuff for this app. It's just fun. It's always good to revisit the basics. Hello, Maddie. Good to see you. Holding it down on Twitch for us. That's so nice of you. Simwheel Connect. Good to see you. How are you? Guess I can switch over to the chat. I haven't actually chatted much today. You guys have been quiet. Wow, it's 6:18. Yeah, we haven't chatted at all today, chat. What's been going on? Just everybody doing stuff, being productive, just sitting back and listen to me ramble on. Nothing wrong with that. We haven't had a stream like that in a while. It's been very quiet. It's a Sunday? Yeah. Yeah, just Sunday vibes. Yeah, chill Sunday vibes. I like it. Nothing wrong with that at all. All right. What's up, 199? Good to see you, man. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. All right, I'm going to go get coffee. I'll be right back. BRB. There's something so nice about being up early in the morning before everybody else. Hello, Steven Jailborn. What's going on here? Where's the streamer? The streamer had to get coffee. Okay, the streamer had to get the substance that makes the stream go burr. Without, without the coffee, there is no stream. Without coffee, the stream dies. All right, so let's go to our. Let's clean up our buffers a little bit. We got a lot going on here. Let's clean these up. Okay. So right now we're in our endpoint class, right? Aren't we? What's happening? An invalid window. Expected Lua number? I don't know. We'll just reset it. We'll hard reset. Can you wish Patricia a happy 30th birthday? That's the most random request I've ever gotten. Sure. Happy birthday, Patricia. I don't know who I'm wishing a happy birthday to, but hope you're doing well. She says thank you. Oh, nice. Is that like your mom? Patricia? Or have I fallen into some practical internet joke that I don't understand because I'm too old? Okay, public. No Copilot. No. Public string. Username. Getter, emitter. Which case this should now be happy. Why are you mad? User does not contain additional definition for get a waiter. What? Oh. That's why. Okay, so now we're getting our user. Obviously, we have to do the migration stuff. So let's add that to our model. So let's go into app context. We will say property static u.username. Can I not chain multiple things off here? Come on, don't tell me I have to. There's got to be a way I can set up multiple properties in a single statement, right? I don't have to add. Entity framework for multiple properties. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So you can also configure column to specify exact data type. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So you pass a callback to the entity. So you do this. You say entity builder. Oh no, that's the whole thing. So you do this. You do entity builder, like that. Entity framework. I think entity framework gets a lot of bad rap. I think it's a really good ORM, but I know a lot of people have very strong feelings about it. I think it wants me to use a lambda. Oh no, it just wants me to make it anonymous. Or static, sorry, static. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing just to follow, so everybody's kind of following the same idea here. We'll do the same thing here. Model builder, entity, refresh token. We should also probably define the relationship between the tokens and the user, right? Because these are basically kind of a parent-child relationship we have going on here. So this will be EB property T goes to T.ID. That message got my attention because of the flashing emotes. I didn't even know there was an emote like that. Yeah, that straight up got my attention. Repeat after me. Public static main void strings arg. Hello, Wager Kings. See you, Maddie. Have a good day, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate you. Appreciate you holding it down on Twitch for us a little bit. It's kind of like a ghost town over there for us most days. Appreciate you. Use expression body lambda for expression. No, I want to keep it this way. So this is where I think I can express this relationship like this. I think I can say has many, right? Or not. Dot has. Oh, do I have to do that inside here? Yeah, has many. So the entity has many what? Oh, I think I have to add that, don't I? I have to add the navigation properties. 199, been slacking last couple of days, been out and about. What have you been doing? Anything exciting? Anything fun? Man, Steven Jailborn's going off with the emotes there over on Twitch. Yeah, we have to add all the navigation properties here. So this would be dot with 1, I think, is the thing that comes next. So we go to user, and we can declare a public. these emotes are These emotes are next level. Let's see, and then on the refresh tokens, we have to have some navigation stuff. So we'll say public GUID user ID, public user. I think I'm gonna have to change all these to be setters. Let's see. Can entity framework work with init only properties? Okay, this seems like a question better suited for Gemini. Can entity framework core work with init only properties? The coffee's so good. What you usually do for, yeah, a mutable property for unupdatable fields. Yeah, that's fine. I'm curious. Let's see. Can it work with private constructors? Can entity framework core work with private constructors? I'm kind of an EF core noob. I've not used it a whole ton. No, I just want a private. I'll just make it a private constructor. Okay, cool. So I can do that. All right. So everything I'm doing, I'm not going to have to go and undo. So that's good. So then what we should be able to do is then we should be able to come back here and let's see, we should be able to say refresh tokens, and then this has with one token t dot user. So this is setting up that child parent relationship. I don't think I have I am blind. Try screen. Try screen, I think is what I set it as.
I'd like to say something.
I think you broke it. Is SQL the
我不
programming
知道你
part?
是不是新来的，所以这次就放过你吧。在这个很棒的网站上，使用表情符号是不被认可的，而且理由充分。Instagram 上的普通用户经常使用表情符号，你也不想变成普
I
通
hope
用
none
户
of
吧
this is offensive because I
如
don't
果我以
understand a
后发
word of
现你
it.
使用表情符号，我就会强制给你的评论点裁。你可能会问，你为什么要在乎？首先，你的账户会失去 karma 值，这即使我不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就放过你吧。在这个很棒的网站上，使用表情符号是不被认可的，而且理由充分。
I'm gonna use Google
Instagram 上的普通
Translate.
用户经常使用表情符号，你也不想变成普通用户吧？如果我以后发现你使用表情符号，我就会强制给你的评论
Oblivion
点
said,
裁。
"Oh hell nah."
你可能会问，
Melty,
你为什么
every
要
bit
在
of
乎？
this is offensive. Is it
首
really?
先，你的账户会失去 karma 值，这即使我不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就放过你吧。在这个很棒的网站上，使用表情符号是不被认可的，而且理由充分。Instagram 上的普通用户经常使用表情符号，你也不想变成普通用户吧？如果我以后发现你使用表情符号，我就会强制给你的评论点裁。你可能会问，你为什么要在乎？首先，你的账户会失去 karma 值，这即使我不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就放过你吧。在这个很棒的网站上，使用表情符号
I
是
can't
不
I
被
can't
认可
figure out how to
而且
translate
理由
this.
充分。Instagram 上的普通用户经常使用表情符号，你也不想变成普通用户吧？如果我以后发现你是用表情符号，我就会强制给你的评论点裁。你可能会问，你为什么要
I don't know
在
what
乎？
any of this is saying.
首先，你的账户会失去 karma 值，这即使我不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就放过你吧。
This reads like AI generated slop. I have no idea what it is.
是不被认可的，
What is this?
而且理
I
由
think it's
充分。
Chinese
Instagram 上的普通用户
that
经常使用
Steven
表情符
Jailborn
号，
posted.
你
I
也不
think
想变成
J-
普通
Steven
用户吧？
Jailborn is
如果
getting
我以后发
banned.
现你使用表情符号，我就会强制给你的评论
Here
点
we
裁。
go. We're gonna drop the
你
ban
可能
hammer
会
on
问，
Steven
你为什么
Jailborn.
要在乎？首先，你的账户会失去
Not
karma
because
值，
not
这即
because
使我
he's
不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就放
a
过你吧。
spammer, but just
在这个
because
很
I
棒的
think
网
he's
站
more
上，
interested
使
in
用表
using
情符
chat
号
for his
是不
own
被认可
personal
的，而且理
entertainment.
由充分。Instagram 上的普通用户经常使用表情符号，你也不想变成普通用户吧？如果我以后发现你是用表情符号，我就会强制给你的评论点裁。
It's nice words.
你可能会问，你为什么要在乎？首先，你的账户会失去 karma 值，这即使我不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就
I do
放过
think
你
I
吧。
I probably need to set a
在这个
limit
很
on the
棒的
size
网
of the
站
text
上，
because this has been
使
going on
用表情符
forever.
号是不被认可的，而且理由充分。Instagram 上的普通用户经常使用表情符号，你也不想变
Oh,
成
there
普
is a
通
limit. It's
用户
only
吧？
200, Matt.
如果
Or no,
我以
hold
后
on.
发现你是用表情符号，我就会强制给你的评论点裁。你可能会问，你为什么要在乎？
How do I
首先，
stop
你的
it?
账户会失去 karma 值，这即使我不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就放
Yeah.
过你吧。在这个很棒的网站上，使用表情符号是不被认可的，而且理由充
Oh,
分。
it's because it's Chinese characters?
Instagram
Yeah.
上的普
It's
通
just going
用户
on
经常使用表
forever.
情符号，你也不想变成普通用户吧？如果我以后发现你是用表情符号，我就会强制给你的评论点裁。你可能会问，你为什么要在乎？首先，你的账户会失去 karma 值，这即使我不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就放过你吧。在这个很棒的网站上，使用表情符号是不被认可的，而且理由充分。Instagram 上的普通
All
用
right,
户
Steven
经常使用表情符号，
Steven
你也
Jailborn's
不想
getting
变成普
banned
通
just
用
because I'm
户吧？
frustrated because I can't
如果
figure
我以
out how
后
to
发现你使
fucking
用表情符号，
turn it off.
我就会强制
Bye
给
bye,
你的
Steven
评论点
Jailborn.
裁。你可能会问，你为什么要在乎？
Boom.
首先，你的账户会失去 karma 值，
You're
这
done.
即使我不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就放过你吧。在这个很棒的网站上，使用表情符号是不被认可的，而且理由充分。Instagram 上的普通用户经常使用表情符号，你也不想变成普通用户吧？如果我以后发现你是用表情符号，我就会强制给你的评论点裁。你可能会问，你为什么要在乎？首先，你的账户会失去 karma 值，这即使我不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就放过你吧。在这个很棒的网站上，使用表情符号是不被认可的，而且理由充分。Instagram 上的普通用户经常使用表情符号，你也不想变成普通用户吧？
Well, that
Instagram
completely
上的普通用户经常使用表
that
情
screwed
符
the
号，
vibes. You might
你也
could
不想
skip
变成
action
普
and
通
pin
用
the
户
action
吧？
streamer bot.
如
Thank
果
you,
我以后
Melty.
发现你使
That's
用
what I
表
was
情
trying
符
to
号，
figure out. How
我
the
就
heck
会
do
强制
I
给你的评论点彩。
turn that
你
shit
可能
off?
会问，你为什么要在乎？首先，你的账户会失去 karma 值，这即使我不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就放过你吧。在这个很棒的网站
It's
上，
still going.
使用
It's
表
still
情
fucking
符号
going.
是不被认可的，而且理由充分。Instagram 上的普通用户经常使用表情符号，你也不想变成普通用户吧？
So what's going on?
如果
Somebody
我以
somebody
后
over
发
on
现你
Twitch
使用
posted
表
in
情
a
符号，
text to
我就
speech
会
that was
强
a
制
bunch
给你
of
的评
Chinese
论点
characters,
彩。
and it's just
你可能
going
会
on
问，
and on
你
and
为
on
什么要在乎？
and on.
首先，
And so I'm trying to
你的
figure a way
账
how to
户
like
会失
cancel
去
the action,
karma
but I
值，
can't
这即使我不知道你是不是
I
新
can't
来的，
figure it
所
out,
以这次
honestly.
就放过你吧。在这个很棒的网站
Let's
上，
see.
使用表情符号是不被认
This
可
says
的，
it
而且
completed, but
理
it did
由
not
充分。
complete.
Instagram 上的普通用户经常使用表情符号，你也不想变成普通用户吧？
I
如
think
果
I
我
might
以
just
后
have
发
to.
现
I'm
你
just
使
gonna
用表
close
情符号，
speaker
我
bot.
就会强制给你的评论点彩。你可能会问，你
Do
为
you
什么
want
要
to
在
close?
乎？
Yeah. Okay, there we go. I just killed speaker bot. That was. Let's see. Just listening with headphones, and I thought I changed to a Chinese stream. Yeah, I don't doubt you, man. I don't. This makes complete sense why you thought that that was the right thing. All right. Well, Steven Jailborn has been removed from the channel. He has been blocked. So whoever that was, I don't know who it was that made that burner account, but they've been removed. All right. What was I doing before that? Oh, somebody tried to use the wrong screen command, and it didn't work. And I think it's because I don't have all the right stuff set up on it. Just gonna fix that really quick. I'm blind. Oh, I think he said I am blind. I am blind.
We can't see your screen, bruh.
There we
We
go.
can't see your screen, bruh.
There we go. That worked. Okay. And then I gotta update the commands website. Bro said, "Please forgive me." He did. He did say that. He did say that. No, I messed up. It sounds like my kids after my kids make a poor decision after I told them not to do something. They're like, "No, no, no, no. I'm sorry, Dad. I won't do it again." Too late. Too late. There are consequences for our actions. Oh, I think Kurt. Sorry, that I am blind has a cooldown on it. That's my bad. You should be able to use it again here in like 30 seconds or something. It has a global cooldown like once every 60 seconds. Steven, being a dad on and off screen. Yeah. I mean, being a dad just kind of permeates your entire life. It's the nature of the beast. Oh, whoops. Yeah. I had this wrong. He typed the wrong command. He typed the right command based on what I published, but it's wrong based on what I had in streamer bot. I'm blind. Get add, get commit, add new, wrong screen. Well, it's been a very quiet stream, but that was some excitement, wasn't it? That's the first person I've had to ban on stream in a long time. like a super, super long time. You know, what was it that the tree of liberty has to be refreshed from time to time? I guess it's the same idea with a stream. You know, every so often the stream has to be refreshed by banning some people. See, screen, I'm blind, I am blind, talk to the face. Yep, that's what it is. Those are all accurate. All right, so we were trying to express the parent-child relationship here and also add the username property. So this is where we do with many, with one, and then we can also say dot has foreign key, and we can say, I think, t dot user ID, and then we can say on delete, we want to cascade. There we go. So basically, our refresh tokens, our user has many refresh tokens, and then our refresh tokens belong to one user, and our refresh tokens have a foreign key to the user they belong to. And then on delete, we will remove all the refresh tokens if the user is deleted. Automatically deletes dependent entities when the principal is deleted or the relationship to the principal is severed, and creates a foreign key constraint in the database with cascading deletes enabled. And I think I'm going to move this up here. And then I'll put all the property definitions down here, like that. And I believe that should be good. I think that'll do it. Artwork Studios. Oh, hey, man. Guess what? What Artwork Studios? Were you Steven Jailborn? I'm suspicious of you. So do EF migration, and then we'll say add username to users and create relationship between users and refresh tokens. Oh, that's a long one. Let's just say add username to users. I've just finished the first copy of 10 copies I have to write as punishment. Oh, wow. You have to write copies for punishment? That sucks. What did you do that was so wrong? Note that the word count is about 2K plus. Damn, man. That sucks. What did you do to deserve to have to write 10 copies of something? How do I... I think this will update it. Yeah, there we go. Stop complaining. Oops. The migration operation pragma foreign keys from migration cannot be executed in a transaction. If the app is terminated or an unrecoverable error occurs while this operation is being executed, then the migration will be left in a partially applied state and would need to be reverted manually before it can be applied again. Create a separate migration that contains just this operation. I don't know what I need to do to resolve that. Let's see, while running a migration in EF using EF core, I got this error. What is it asking me to do? Saran Kumar, hello, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you saying hi. That's very kind of you to stop and drop a nice message. Let's say to do the safety, EF core tries to disable foreign key constraints. However, SQLite does not allow this specific command to run inside a standard transaction. What the error is asking, the migration runner is telling you, okay, how to fix. Suppress the transaction. You can tell EF core to run this specific migration without a transaction in your migration file. Override the up and down methods to include suppressed transactions. Okay, or split the transaction. As the error suggests, you can move the problematic operation into its own migration. Create a new empty migration, manually edit that migration to only include the pragma toggle, create your actual add user's migration afterwards. Let's see why this happens with SQLite. Unlike SQL Server or PostgreSQL, SQLite cannot simply alter a column's properties or add complex constraints to an existing table. EF core follows a table rebuild strategy. It creates a new temporary table with new schema. It copies all data from the old table to the temporary one, and it drops the old table. It renames the temporary table to the original name. Because foreign keys point to the old table, they must be disabled during the swap, which is what triggers the transaction here. Yeah, I won't. Yeah, show me how to. Yes. Show me how to automate it for all SQLite migrations. Also, Stephen, the reason why I got punished is messaged above, just saying in case you missed it. Let's see, I didn't do anything wrong. I came back from Bible study. Turns out my entire form was published for something that they done while I was at Bible. Oh, that sucks. So you got in trouble for something that's not even your fault? That's stupid. Let's see, you can override this. If options builder is configured, options builder.use SQLite. This prevents EF core from wrapping migrations in a transaction. However, the most robust way to handle this, especially if you want to keep transactions for some parts but not others, is to create a custom migrations assembly. Oh, this is kind of complex. No. No, I mean, I think I think I want to just read more about this. SQLite, Pragma, entity framework. I just want to kind of understand how other people deal with this. Okay. Boil it down. What would you recommend the best course of action to take? Diego, how do you get cool PowerShell? I use Oh My Posh. So if you've never heard of it before, it's kind of like Oh My ZSH, right? For those of you who might be in the Linux or the Mac world. But I use ohmyposh.dev, which basically lets you kind of do the cool path prompt path configurations or segments. I think they call them segments, path segments. That's what I use, and you can actually get the configurations I have by just typing exclamation point oh my posh, and then you can also do that. So that'll give you my oh my posh configs, and then you can also do exclamation point PWSH for PowerShell, and that will give you my PowerShell profile. If you're curious of exactly how I set it up, but if you just want to kind of figure out how to, beautify your PowerShell prompt, this is where I would start. ohmyposh.dev. Okay, so we'll do that. Thank you, Gemini, for all your help. Huh. I don't see... what it's talking about over here. Add username to users. The migration operation pragma foreign keys equals 0. Okay, I don't think you know what you're talking about. I think you're not telling me correctly, because that's not what my migration looks like.
I like to say something.
我不知道你是不是新来的，所以这次就放过你吧。在这个很棒的网站上，使用表情符号是不被认可的，而且理由充分。
All right, guys, we gotta figure out a way to fix this. Steven Stuckborn has now been banned. Nick Demon, oh no. Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Oh no, indeed. I don't want to take away the text-to-speech reward on Twitch, because I feel like for good citizens of the stream, I feel like, you should be able to use your channel points to do text-to-speech, but it also means that people can sort of do it without any real consequence. Oh no, I didn't turn it off. I just shut down SpeakerBot in the middle of that message so that it would stop running it. I'm gonna have to come up with some sort of clever mitigation strategy for that one. Wrap your logic or add the flag to the SQL calls. entity framework deal with pragma warnings. Nope, that's the wrong thing. Entity framework deal with SQLite foreign key. Well, I'm not going to do anything because I'm not sure I know what to do the right thing. So I'm going to leave it for now because I don't know what to do to make that not do that. We do have a call to use SQLite. So we are doing that correctly. I don't know. I don't have that here. DB browser. Okay, Steven, I'm joining a Discord call, so I don't know if I can multitask. Yeah, no worries. Do your thing, man. Do your thing. I don't have a ton longer, actually. It's already 7 o'clock. I'm probably going to keep working on this today. I'm probably going to get a lot of the authentication stuff worked out today. Probably just sit on the couch and be comfy and be cozy. Hide out from the cold weather. And write some authentication logic. Yeah, that's fine. Next, install. Yeah, I probably don't have much longer either, so no worries, man. Might actually be of interest to have an LLM greenlight a message for text-to-speech. Oh, that would be kind of cool. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I just don't want to make it a lot of effort. You know what I mean? Again, like this goes back to my whole content creation, like ethos in general. It's like, if it becomes really painful or if it becomes really complex for me to stream, and the stream becomes really complex to manage, then it just kind of defeats the purpose of streaming in general or making content in general for me. You know what I mean? I'd probably more than likely what I do if people keep abusing the Twitch text-to-speech is I would just I'd just turn it off. Just go back to people having to pay money to do text-to-speech, because then they have to put some skin in the game. You know what I mean? Pay $1 just to say something stupid. That's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. I'll take your money so you can be dumb. Okay, cool. So we have refresh token, ID, user ID. We have ID and username. Cool. That's exactly what I would expect to see in the table. So it looks like at least it worked. And it set up some indexes for us. Nice. Okay, cool. Looks good. They need to add a dark mode to this tool. Excuse me. Why is there a very long Chinese message here? Because somebody was jacking around and being silly and wanting to break the text-to-speech, I think, with a different language, with a language that wasn't English, which it basically did. I mean, the message just went on and on and on and on. So that's why. Well, we banned them. We banned Steven Stuckborn and we banned Steven Jailborn. They gone. They gone and they're never coming back. All right, so let's add a test for user not existing. Yeah, so let's figure out how to test that before we go any further with implementation. Let's stop. Let's write our tests. Let's stop and write our test. Okay, so fact public async task login when user does not exist. It should return 401 unauthorized. So then the question becomes, actually, hold on. Actually, we don't even need to add a test because I think this test right now, I think this test will actually fail in its current state. Oh no, it passes. So I wonder if it's, did it create a database? Let me see. Yeah, it did. It created a database. Okay, so I don't want that behavior, or at least I don't want that to be the name of the database. I guess I'm okay with it. Yeah. So every test that depends on a database really should get its own database. Right? So when we set up our test, we need to basically what do we want? We basically want in our test we want access to the DB context that's currently under test, right? So we want our code to use a specific DB context that for the test, and then in our test class we want access to the DB context so that if we want to manipulate the data that's in the database prior to running the test, we can. And so that is where we do it. I think here in the web application factory, I think is what we'd want to do is or no, let's do this. Let's actually add a base class. Let's do that. Let's add a base class that's like integration tests. Like that. And let's do namespace is going to be physical s dot API dot tests dot integration, and then we'll say public no, let's do internal abstract class, and we'll call it an integration test, right? And then we will say that our login test inherits from our integration test, and it will pass in the test API, I think. So basically, the integration test will have the necessary fixture. So we'll say I class fixture is going to be the test API, and this will be a test API. And I think honestly what we want is we actually want a protected HTTP client, which is going to be our getter. Whoops. And then that is going to be equal to test API dot create client. I think. I think though the test API has to be exposed, and the reason why is because sometimes we might want to customize the host builder even more. So maybe what we do is we do test API is going to be test API getter, like that. Which this then means we can come into our login test and we can say, okay, you take one of these, right? And then, oh, this needs to be public. And then here we can get rid of this. And basically everywhere we have this right now, we can say %s underscore test API, and we can just replace that with test API, which is the protected member from the inherited integration test. So the whole point of that is then in the integration test, this can be a central place for us to kind of set up and provide access to fixtures that integration tests will need. So like the other fixture that I think we're going to need is we're going to need to have a protected app DB context. And the reason for that is so that we can manipulate, like for example, the reason for that is so that I'm saying this more for my own thing. I'm more just like rubber ducking out loud. But the reason why we want that is like eventually there's going to be a test where we want to run where we are authenticating on behalf of an existing user, right? And so we want to be able in our test to insert a user into the database with the right hash password and all that stuff, and then verify that our login logic works for a user that actually exists in the database. But there's no reason in the integration test to have to go through like multiple layers of code. We should be able just to work with the database directly, or at least through our ORM. So that's the idea. So the question is then, how do we get a dB context per test, right? And so I think what we want to do I guess we have a couple different options. We can just implement our own dB context as just for test purposes, or we can override the options for that dB context, because basically what we're talking about.
MRK_Manansala is reminding you to hydrate.
Thank you very much for the reminder. I appreciate that. If I compare him to first and current, his progression is great and all. He is just humble to said, I'm good, oh boy. What? What'd you say? Mark? No, it's fine. Let's see. Oh, hey, Pablo. What's up, man? 15 layers of abstraction. I love it. Yes, there's so many layers. Layers upon layers upon layers. I think Mr. Freeborn has had quite enough of Rust for a while. Yeah, I've taken a break from Rust. Yeah. Or I guess I shouldn't say I'm taking a break from it because I'm still using it. I'm just not doing it on stream, you know? Like I'm using it as like filler. Like whenever I have a free moment or a time in the day where I just want to do something other than work on one of my projects, that's what I'm using it for. What's up, Rockin' Brain? Good to see you. Remy, which app are you using? I'm using Neovim is the app I'm using right now. But I use VS Code and I use Visual Studio. I use Writer. I kind of move around. Just depends on the vibes. Been using Neovim though a lot the last year. It's kind of fun. It's kind of a fun way to write code. Frank, let's see, Frings. I can't remember. I don't know how to say your username. Fringsy. I'm gonna have SpeakerBot say it for me. So you said what keyboard are you using? It sounds so satisfying. So this is the keyboard I use. I just use this keyboard, and the brand. I don't know if you guys can see the brand. The brand model is a Yunzi B75 Pro. I can link it in the chat if you guys are interested. I don't know if you can. Yeah, I'll just link it. I'll just link it in the chat. That'll be easier. But yeah, it's a good keyboard. It's not super expensive either, but it has a good sound. One of my coworkers liked it so much he went out and bought one for himself. So I've sold at least one other person on them. Let me see if I can find it. Amazon.com. Yunzi B75 Pro. Yeah, it's this one. I probably wouldn't buy it though at $80 because it goes on sale quite a bit. Like it pretty regularly I'll see it on sale for like 60, 65, something like that. So I don't know if I would buy it full freight for $80 because you can probably, if you're patient enough, you can probably get it for a little cheaper. Let's see, at Forensic 2. Here's the keyboard I am using currently. There you go. Hopefully I find that helpful. Mark, ooh, we got the key people here. Let's see, Pablo. I'm just interested. How are you going to do the bank integration? Just Playwright or similar? No, I think Pablo, I'm going to use this company called Plaid. I don't know if you've heard of them. I've never actually used their API before, so this will be a learning experience for me. But it's called Plaid.com, and I think a lot of popular finance apps use them. But they have a pay-as-you-go tier for like indie devs that I think will work for me. We'll see. We'll see how much it ends up costing me money-wise. But this is the plan currently, is to use this. And I've never used it before, so we'll see how it goes. I'm still working on just like the basic authentication for the app, but as soon as I get that done, then the next thing I'm going to try to implement is adding an account, and see if I can get that to work. So we'll see. That should be an interesting part of this. That'll be the most interesting part of this application. Will be figuring out how to integrate with their service. They have integrate. Yes, they have it. They provide the integration with the bank. Exactly. Yeah. Which I guess to your point, if we find that this is too expensive, if Plaid is too expensive, then we could go, I guess, to Playwright. We could go like the browser scrapey route to get it to automate it. But I'm trying to avoid that. I'm just trying to leverage somebody else's existing API to do it. Because, like, I mean, somebody out there has built it because, like, Mint had it, YNAB has it, Credit Karma has it, right? Like, they all have that integration where you can add your bank accounts. So I'm guessing they're using Plaid or something like Plaid to make it happen. Pablo, I doubt that works here, but we'll investigate if it works. Nice. Yeah. I mean, I got to figure out how to say your username. Kirk, Plaid is good. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a try and see how it goes. It's my first experience with it, so we'll see. I'm sure there'll be a lot of stumbling around in the dark, but that's the stuff I enjoy. That's when you have the most fun. Unless we're talking about
Frenzy.
Franzit. Okay, I'll call you Franzit. Yeah, I hope you enjoy the keyboard, man. Hopefully, it's to your liking, Franzit. All right, I think I caught up on all the chat. All right. Oh man, you're hydrated enough. I think you skipped 4 or 5 times now. Oh, did I really? Dang it. Hold on. Did I make up? Did I drink enough? I thought you only told me to hydrate once. Mark, oh, I'm telling you, the keyboard was great. Oh, very cool. Byte cubes. Why many people... Pablo, yeah, Plaid doesn't work for me. Oh, that sucks, Pablo. I'm sorry. Why many people are saying that Rust is going to end C++? I have no idea, honestly. The people that I've heard talk about it have just said that it's because it's memory safe, which I guess it sort of kind of is unless you use it in an unsafe way. But I don't necessarily know what's going to replace what in that world. I'm just not plugged in enough on the systems level programming. It seems like technologies have a very long tail. So the idea that something actually gets replaced, I think is probably pretty low. Excuse me. If I had to guess, what's more likely to happen is just the usage of languages shifts over time, right? Like more and more people start new projects with a more modern language like Zig or Rust or something, Odin, some low level language, and then people stop doing new projects in C++, and so the usage just kind of shifts over time. I doubt people rewrite stuff. That seems like not something people would do. But yeah, I don't have any thoughts about that. Or I guess I don't have any credible thoughts about it, All right, so I think the right way to do this is to have this be something like this, where we say protected app db context. and we do test db context, and then we just retrieve that from the test API. So we do test API dot services dot get required service, and we do app db context. And then I think the right answer is from that point oh shoot. Let's see. Property type appdb context is less accessible than property TB context. I guess I could do. Let's see. Can I do DB context? And then do that. I wonder if that would work. Really don't want to make it public, but maybe I need to. I mean, it'll probably end up being public because it probably needs to live in a different project. Whatever. I'm just gonna do that. I'm just gonna do this for now. So, and then in our test API, what we can do is I think we can say builder.services or .configure services. Maybe configure test services. What does this take? This takes a services configuration, so I guess we do static C. So my thought is here what we can do so I guess the way this will work is each test will get, or each test class will get its own database. But really, I'd like the database. Let's see. Let's rubber duck with Gemini a little bit here. I'm doing some integration testing in .NET using the Microsoft.MVC.testing package. My application uses Entity Framework Core to interact with a SQLite database. I'd really like it if each of my integration tests got a blank I think got a blank database. Right now I have it set up so that my test API class fixture, which is based upon the web application factory, instantiates a new database. This database is going to end up getting shared currently across all the same tests in the same file. Oh, I know what I'll do. Oh, okay, I know what I'll do. This is what I'll do. I'll go here and I will implement an iDisposable or iAsync disposable. Let's see, XUnit perform async work at the end of each test. By using a iAsync lifetime, it is possible to set up state on each test. So I can't remember. Let's do iAsync lifetime. I think it supports iAsync disposable now, though, because I don't really need. Let's see, XUnit supports iAsync disposable. Yeah, I think this is supported now. For XUnit.v3, let's see, for XUnit.v3, the dispose async comes from iAsync disposable, which you can implement independently just for async cleanup. V2 does not support iAsync disposable, only V3. To get async cleanup in V2, you must implement the full iAsync. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so now we can implement this. And that will mean at the end of each thing, we just want to do db context dot something or other. Oops, sorry, test db. And I just want to like reset it. Database dot Wow, YouTube won't let me type .net. Oh, it probably thinks it's a maybe it thinks it's like a some way to bypass links or something. Who knows? Pablo, dude, Cursor has changed the way I interact with my code so much that seeing you talk with Gemini looks outdated. Yeah, I'm definitely outdated when it comes to agentic development. I have wholly gone back to just old school. I just use AI in the chat interfaces and then I hand type the code. So I'm a trad coder. That's what I am. Ubuntu is rewriting all the shell commands in Rust. Nice, nice. Sorry, I fell behind on the chat here. I can't even comprehend how they make CPU from stones. Yeah, it's pretty it's very magical. You know, we take silicon and turn it into stuff that we can do all this crap with. It's pretty impressive. Feels very much like alchemy. We're so smart we made a rock think for us. A bunch of monkeys running around making rocks think for us. I like that. Probably you have to type so much context. You really do. Yeah, you really do. That's actually one of the huge benefits of having something that's actually context aware of the code. Let's see, not really agentic, but I use the ask mode in the chat and just add my files. Oh, that's a really good. That's a huge plus. Yeah, big plus there. Lately, I've been using agentic programming too. Yeah, I could see agentic programming being super helpful at work. You know, if you need to like power through a rudimentary task, right, that you just don't really care a whole lot about. But yeah, the being able to bring your code base's context into your conversation really conveniently, I totally get that. Maybe there's a way I can do that in NeoVim with something like Sidekick, right? So I can still interact in a chat fashion, but not have to provide as much context. That would be nice. Let's see. DB context, entity framework, drop all tables. Okay, so let's do wait test db context dot database dot ensure deleted async. Cannot implicitly convert from value task to task. Okay, let's do iasync lifetime. .NET convert from task to value task. I'm getting kind of hungry. Some bacon sounds good. I don't know how to do this. I guess I could just await it, right? Could just not return it. Then we do the same thing here. Now you're complaining why? Not all code paths return a value. C# how to implement or how to return a value task when async method called inside returns just a task. Huh. Can't believe I've never had to do this before. Doesn't seem to work though. Huh. This will prevent to call GC suppress. This will prevent drive types that introduce a finalizer from needing to re-implement iDisposable. GC.suppress finalize.
Did we just become best friends?
Thank you for the follow, man. Talented, nerdy, simple, curious. I like it. Me know. Hey, want to ask a real question. Do you always use Gemini? And do you have the max thing for $150 yearly payment? I needed an alternative. Can you tell me how efficient Gemini is for programming? I have pretty good luck with it for just like asking questions and stuff. I don't really use it in like an agentic way, you know? Like I have Gemini CLI installed, but I don't really use it much. I usually just use the chat interface. I definitely don't have the $150 a month. I'm or $150 yearly payment thing. I think I have a Google One subscription that I pay I paid originally $10 a month just for Google Drive stuff, and then I upgraded it to include the AI subscription. I think for another $10 a month. So I think I pay Google $20 a month, and that gives me access to like the Gemini Pro things. And then yeah, that's basically how I use it. So I use Gemini and I use Copilot, and I kind of go back and forth. And I lately have just been using them mostly in the chat interfaces. I'm not really a big like I don't want to say like vibe coder because I know a lot of people aren't. I know vibe coding is kind of polarizing. I know there's people that are doing vibe coding, but I also know there's like real engineers who are doing more of like agentic coding where they're like kind of like shepherding agents with their software engineering knowledge. I don't really do either of those things. I just kind of code like it's 2020. But I leverage AI a lot to help me figure things out or help clarify things that I don't understand, right? Kind of like I used to use Google. That's how I use it a lot now. Sweet car, hello. You kind of give vibe like Brick Heck. I don't know who that is. Brick Heck, I'm not sure who that is. Kajani, this 55-year-old paint I'm sanding hitting different. Good morning, Kajani. Good to hear from you, man. Hope you're doing well. Probably, yeah. Vibe is full trust. Shepherd for the win. Yeah, yeah, 100%. And yeah, and I just don't. I don't usually do either of them, but I know that there are folks who are really enjoy using AI in that way, and I'm just like, yeah, full speed ahead. Full speed ahead, my brother. Okay, and then in the test API, what I want to do here is I want to create var app.db context options. Or maybe just do options. And I'll say, let's see, file, database file path equals GUID.new GUID to string. Oops. And then I'll do var options equals options.create. We could probably actually just do that. Cut out the middleman. And then I think I want to override, so I'll do services or C dot add. So add a singleton or maybe add a scoped. Let's see. Configure options default lifetime. Let's see, iOptions is registered as a singleton and can be injected into any services. So that's where I want to do add singleton ops. Okay, so the whole point of this is so that each test class gets its own database, and then within each test class, before each test, we'll make sure the database is created, and then after each test, we'll make sure that we clean up the database so that we never have tests or state conflicting with each other across tests. I think that's what should happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look and watch and see if database or if files get created. The problem is I think I might still need to clean up the files. All right, well that broke. No service type for has been registered. Oh, so do I need to resolve it? Let's see. Oh, it did get created though. Okay, cool. So it did work, or I think it worked. So I think this was supposed to be, that was supposed to be a database. So this really should be a string, an interpolated string that looks like this. Yeah, just like that. And then the thing it was complaining about was the fact that in our integration test, I'm trying to reserve this as a DB context, but it's really an app DB context. I think is what's happening. But it should be, I should be able to cast it, I think, still. So let's try again. Tests are my biggest use case for AI. Yeah, tests are real, or AI is really good at writing test cases, especially if like you have a lot of existing test cases that are already in existence. Let's see, cannot resolve scoped service from root provider. Oh. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Let's see, using DB context in integration tests. There we go. This guy's already doing what I want to do. See, one of the challenges faced was being able to run the migrations. They're associated with the specific DB context type used in the production code, whereas I had to register the subtype to work in the tests. That shouldn't be an issue because I already have a service that automatically runs the migrations. The problem is getting the database resolved properly. So how do I deal with the fact that I have a scope service? Cannot resolve scope service from root provider. This is specific to XUnit. So how do I deal with that? XUnit cannot get scoped service from root provider. Well, I know that that's yeah, but how do I see that scope is not So are you saying that I need to do something like this where I need to do something like this? No, I don't want to use the expression body, because the reason why I don't want to use the expression body is because I have to do var scope test API dot create services high scope factory. And then it's going to say using this doesn't seem right though. Service provider, get required service. This is going to be app DB context. I don't know if this is the right way to do this. Famous last words before it blows up. Yeah. Cannot access, that's what I thought. Cannot access a disposed context instance, a common cause of this error is supposing a context instance that was resolved from a dependency injection, and later trying to use the same context instance elsewhere in your application. Yeah. So I think that's because, let's see, if I don't dispose of it, which has other issues. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. And then we should be able to look in the we should be able to look over here, and there should be a bunch of GUID databases. Yeah, see, like you can see, here's a GUID database. Here's another. Thought there should be 3. Oh no, there should only be 2 because I only have 2 tests. Yeah, that's right. There should only be. Yeah, I only have 2 test methods. Okay, so that works, but that still leaves me with this issue of, well, one, I shouldn't be just leaving the scope. I don't think this is probably the right way to do this, if I'm being honest with you. This seems not correct. Would need to dispose of scope. What else? Oh, we need to clean up the test database files when the test ends. So we should have some way to like not just create create bunches and bunches and bunches of test databases on disk and just leave them forever. All right, this is definitely a work in progress. Git and git commit test work, or actually let's just say feature work in progress on testing login flows. Mark. Ah, yes, I came here just to say that. Ha. Anyways, I hope y'all have a great day, guys. See you, Mark. Oh man, I watched a short form video on a Shark Tank video where a man was able to rotate a phone using vibration and sensors on the phone. That is wild. Let's see. Why are you busy working on at the moment? I joined the stream pretty late. I am currently working on trying to build a finance application just for my personal finances. Mason, Singleton. Oh, you already knew what options was registered as. Nice. Open weight models are great, but no one is running them locally. You're still paying for inference. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just think the cost. I think I've said that too before, Pablo. I think, like, I just think running LLMs locally is kind of a party trick at the moment without having a lot of nice hardware. Sweetheart, what is your opinion on cybersecurity ethical hacking job roles? I guess my opinion would be that sounds like a cool job, but probably sounds very niche and hard to get. That's my thought. See, Mike, have you ever tried to use WSL? I do have WSL set up. Yeah, I primarily just use it for Docker desktop. If I really need to go over to like the Linux side of the house, I'll usually just SSH into one of my servers and just play around there. But for the most part, I just don't really have a need to go over to the Linux side of things on a regular basis. But it's a cool piece of technology, you know? Very, very cool piece of technology. All right, guys, I'm hungry. I'm going to go have breakfast. So thank you guys very much for hanging out with me. Appreciate you. I hope you guys have a great Sunday. It was a very quiet stream, but sometimes we need those, you know? Sometimes we need a little bit of a quiet, less chatty, more codey stream, which is good. Mike, package installers on Windows are so slow, though. I guess not slow enough to be painful for me, I guess. I've just never really noticed. I use Winget to install most things. Oblivious, very cozy. It was a cozy stream, a cozy coding stream. Yeah. Sometimes we need more of those, you know? All right. Well, there's nothing to chat about. I'm gonna go make some eggs and some bacon, drink some more coffee. When we come back tomorrow, my goal is hopefully when I come back tomorrow to stream, is that I have a lot of this log in, log out, refresh implemented, and we can get to working on the interesting parts of actually talking to the Plaid, figuring out how the Plaid API works. So tomorrow, it might seem like I jump between like where I'm at today and where I'm gonna be tomorrow morning. What I'll try to do is I'll try to keep some branches. I'll try to keep some longer lived branches, feature branches on the GitHub repo in case you have curiosity and you want to see like what I did and how I did it. I'll keep those longer lived just for reference. But I think if I try to restrict myself to only working on this stuff during stream, I'm never going to make significant progress. So we're going to do a little bit of off stream, a little bit of on stream. Mix and match it. See you, man. Hope you enjoy that keyboard. I'll definitely be back here again. I just finished my undergrad in comp sci, so have lots to learn. Yeah, come back anytime. We're here. I'm live every morning, 4:15 to 7 o'clock usually during the workday, and sometimes I go a little bit later on the weekends. But you're welcome anytime, man. And we do have a Discord if you guys want to join Discord. Happy to chat with y'all there too. So I'll do my normal wrap up now that I've stammered on for longer than I needed to. If you're new here and you want to come back and hang out, the best place to find me live is 4:15 to 7 a.m. each morning, Central Standard Time. That's on Twitch and YouTube. And then if you want to hang out and chat outside of stream, the best place to find me and chat is in our Discord. And you can find that at discord.stephenfreeborn.com, or I just put the link in the chat as well for you guys. Yes, you too, Oblivious. Have a great Sunday. Bye, Duck Boy. Appreciate you, man. See you guys. All right, chat. Bye, guys. Bye. See y'all. Hope you guys have a great day.